to another video where I talk about things. In this video, I'm going to talk about something I don't usually talk about in the Bitcoin and crypto world. And that topic, as you guessed from the title, or as you read from the title, is how much Bitcoin and or crypto do you need to be rich in 2025? And the answer to that question is it depends. Right? It depends on your context. It depends on your situation. It depends on what you already have, what your goals are, where you are physically as well as along your path to getting to where your goals are. Right? It matters very much what these details are, because if you're 80% of the way there already and you only need to go the last 20%, it's a lot easier to get there than if you're just starting out, right? That's going to take a lot more effort. Or even if you're 10 or 20% of the way along there, it's going to take you a while longer. Even if you're already in the process and you got a kind of a process down, you're still maybe figuring out ways to optimize that process, or you're just, still committed to it and doing it, but you got to make sure that things don't get in the way to block you from hitting your goal. And one of the things that nobody talks about, because you constantly hear, and I mean consistently, you hear things that just don't apply to everybody, right? And you'll typically hear from people who either have made it and are very successful and happy, and good for them, God bless them, right? Or people who pretend to be in that capacity, and they will not tell you certain things. Right? They try to relate to as many people, and at the same time, they ignore some of the things that actually affect the bulk majority of people. What am I talking about? And I can talk to you about this because these things have happened to me. So I speak from personal experience, but I can tell you that even before they did happen to me, I was already speaking about these things, because I knew that these affect people. How did I know that? I happened to work in marketing, and as a very high level marketer, was also very aware of the very low level stuff. I've worked in a full range of marketing. I can tell you that one of the key elements of being a good marketer is not just thinking outside the box, it's thinking about things that are well beyond the distribution models. Okay, things that are such outliers that people say, that doesn't affect anybody, but actually it does, and it actually usually affects far more people than you know. And usually what happens is a lot of people sweep things under the rug and just deal with it, either by ignoring it or letting it, trying to contain the pain, trying to contain the pressures, trying to contain the negative impact, even if they know they can't ultimately do that and reach their goals at the same time, because one will interfere with the other. So, for example, in the world of crypto and Bitcoin, etc., or financial assets in general, one of the things you hear constantly is be disciplined. Put your money away, DCA, don't even worry about trading. If you want to trade, that's a whole separate thing. But for the average investor, just DCA. Put, whatever you can afford to lose, put, half your money into the market, keep half your money in powder, meaning liquid capital, and set it aside for when the market dips. And if it dips 5, 10, 20% ever, just go ahead and just make some, double down on your buys on your DCA. Okay. That's one way to do it. And that's, by the way, that's also not a pure DCA, because a DCA, you buy the same amount regardless of whether or not the market dips or not. Now, it's an optimization to double down when it dips hard, but it's not a pure DCA. A DCA is you stick to your purchase number and you don't change it. The only time you ever do change it is if your personal financial situation completely changes and you have either way more and you can therefore afford to increase, or you have less, enough less that you need to reduce how much you're purchasing. Okay? Those are the only times you should ever be really changing your DCA numbers if you're a DCA purist. But I understand people like to tweak and optimize, and that's fine. So yes, you can do that. But here's something people don't tell you. Okay? There is, even in the greatest of times, something called unemployment. And people lose jobs, people lose clients, people lose work, and they suddenly lose access to their regular inflows of capital. And you'll hear these so-called financial gurus and YouTubers and people that like to talk about crypto and stuff tell you, oh, make sure you have 5 to 7 sources of income. Okay. Do you know that it's not so easy for the average person to do that? Right? Most people can barely handle one. When I say they can barely handle, I mean they're usually exhausted physically and mentally and emotionally at the end of a workday, and having an additional source of income is not feasible. And if they have to have 2 or 3 jobs, it's not because those 2 or 3 jobs are making them tons of money. It's because those are 2 or 3 part-time jobs that they get or that they have. Maybe they have one full-time job and a couple of part-time jobs. By the way, that's also something a lot of people do just to make ends meet. Okay? There are people who don't have any social security or any money coming from any outside sources for help, right? So they can't just sit back and, relax and enjoy the savings they've made for the last however many decades, right? There are all kinds of people in all kinds of situations who don't have a set amount coming in and are not able to actually stash away money on the regular into crypto or something like it. Okay? And why do I mention crypto? Well, because people want crypto, but because it's so volatile, they don't know when to buy it. Because they see price jumping up and down constantly like crazy. 20 grand 1 month, 70 grand, and a few months after that, back to 50, up to 60, down to 45, up to 60 again. Makes people lose their mind. They don't know what to make of that, right? Some people think it's a scam. Obviously, it isn't for the most part in terms of like the big, liquid assets. They're not scams. Yes, there are plenty of scams in it, but the big liquid assets by themselves have demonstrated so far that they're not, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're not scams, right? Others, okay, maybe debatable in some cases, not so debatable in other cases. Litecoin, not a scam, right? Some people might not like it, whatever. Don't see the point of it, doesn't matter. It's just as good as Bitcoin in many ways. Price is very low compared to Bitcoin, but that's one of the things that makes it great, right? And by the way, there's not even that many more Litecoins than there are Bitcoins, right? There's only like 4 times as many, right? There's like 84 million coins can ever be mined. That's it, right? So it's not like there's trillions of Litecoin available, and yet the price is really cheap. People say it doesn't have a purpose. No, it does. And in many ways, it's a whole lot better than a whole lot of other so-called cryptos because they try to do too much and deliver on too little. Litecoin was built to be a fork of Bitcoin that could be an early test bed for Bitcoin. And guess what? It can always do that, even if it doesn't need to. But it can always do that. And more importantly, it does the thing it says it's supposed to do. It's a decentralized cryptocurrency, right? It can be used as a store of value. It can be used as an electronic peer-to-peer cash currency system. and network, just like Bitcoin. So, in many ways, I think Litecoin is actually a highly undervalued coin, like really. And well, that's okay. It's good to have a cheap on ramp into crypto for people, right? That said, again, there are many things that people do to try to get into crypto. And there are many things that the YouTube Jimmies of the world, right? These like YouTube charlatans, if you want to call them that, and other charlatans in different media, Twitter and wherever else, that will tell you, do these 5 things and you'll be able to be a crypto rich person within the next year. Truth of the matter is, those things are telling you they're generalities that may apply to the standard deviation of people within the distribution model, but they really don't, because people are far more complex than just the distribution models. Now, yes, people do fall within normal distribution models and Laplace distribution models for a whole host of metrics. But when it comes to managing their personal finances, the average person is actually quite bad at that. And they don't have the discipline for that. So to expect the average person to be able to properly manage their finances and follow a strict financial plan is extremely unrealistic. And it's the kind of thing that people say to give kind of hopium to people watching YouTube videos to make them feel like, oh, you can do this too if you just do these 25 things. The problem is they can't do those 25 things, or even 10 things, or even 5 things, or even 1 thing, because their context is not the same as yours. Their context is different. Their conditions are not matched by what you're presenting if you're that YouTuber, right? And by the way, if you are one of those YouTubers watching this video, hello, what I can say is, look, I get it. You got to pay the bills too. And you're just, shilling your affiliate links, making money on that, producing nice videos with a nice camera and nice sound. And you're hoping that the average person is going to click on your links and help you pay your bills. Right? But there's a problem with that, because you're taking from people who may not have, and who may not really be aware of what it means to click on that link and to give you a portion of their funds every time they do something through that link. Just saying, a bit of transparency is good. And just to say, yeah, I'm an affiliate and I get a percentage when you click, you should also tell them you get a percentage every time they trade and lose, and every time they trade and win, and every time they deposit, you get a percentage, right? That would be a bit more honest. It would let people know, okay, so you're actually an affiliate and not so much a trader or an expert in whatever field. You're just an affiliate marketer. Why do I say that? Well, because if you're giving quote unquote expert advice to people and you're telling them to follow a plan, which is very generic, which is the kind of thing like a 3rd grader could figure out, it's not in depth. It doesn't take into account the actual realities that are different from people, from people to people, from person to person, right? Then you really have to be more upfront about your financial interests in the game you're playing. And I know most of you will laugh, if you're YouTubers especially, and you have a big audience and you make your money doing this affiliate stuff. I know most of you will laugh and say, this joker trying to tell me how to be an affiliate. Meanwhile, I'm making zillions of dollars every month from these exchanges or from these affiliate companies that I'm marketing. Yeah, good for you. I'm just saying, as a person who actually practices what I preach when it comes to ethical marketing, that it's important to be ethical in your marketing. And I know there's people who just hate marketing and say, oh, you're a marketer, you're evil. Yeah, no, not all marketers are evil. And yeah, I've lost a number of clients over the years who wanted to be less than ethical, and I refused to work with them. Right? And we've amicably parted ways because I said, listen, I'm not going to work with a company that's going to be practicing less than tip-top ethics. I just won't do it. There are other ways to generate revenue for companies. And yes, it may be harder, and yes, it may take more time, but the reward is that you can go to sleep at night without a guilty conscience. And without having to worry about, did you harm somebody financially because they took your nonsensical advice and bought into a thing that they should have avoided. Anyway, that's what I want to talk to you about for now. Hope you all have a lovely night, lovely day, lovely evening, lovely afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Happy marketing, happy cryptoing. See ya.